Imagine you're going through your spare change, maybe grabbing a quick coffee, and you find something that's not just a penny, but a gold mine. I'm talking about the 2006 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny that could potentially be worth a staggering $1.6 million. Yes, you heard that right, a penny. And I know what you're thinking. Is this guy pulling my leg? But stick with me, because I'm about to drop some knowledge that could have you checking your pockets a little more closely from now on. So, what's the deal with this 2006 D Lincoln penny, and why could it be worth so much? Well, let's dive into the details. All right, first things first, the 2006 D Lincoln penny is a part of the U.S. Mint series that features Abraham Lincoln on the front. You know the one, Lincoln's face, coppery color, and the 1 cent, stamped on the back. But what makes this particular penny stand out from the rest? The answer lies in a very special error. A mistake so rare that it has collectors jumping through hoops and, believe it or not, willing to pay an absurd amount of cash to get their hands on it. So here's the scoop. During 2006, some pennies were accidentally struck with the wrong kind of die, leaving them with some pretty wild imperfections. These are what we call error coins in the world of numismatics, and let me tell you, error coins are like the unicorns of the coin world, rare, elusive, and worth a lot more than their face value. Now, not every 2006 D penny is a gold mine, far from it. Most of them are worth only a couple of cents. But if you happen to have one of those special error coins, you're looking at a serious payday. Now, how do you identify this coin? It's not like there's a giant flashing sign that says, "Hey, I'm worth $1 million." No, it's more subtle. Some of the rare 2006 D pennies have a double die, meaning the design on one side, usually the front, is duplicated. If you inspect it closely under a magnifying glass, you might notice the double lines, especially around Lincoln's nose or the date. This doubling is what makes the coin so special. It's like a tiny, accidental masterpiece that was created by the mint's own little slip-up. If you find one of these error pennies, you're not just holding onto any old copper coin. You could be holding onto a treasure. In fact, there's one documented case of a 2006 D double die penny selling for a jaw-dropping $1.6 million at auction. Yes, million with an M. Now, I know what you're thinking. Do I really have one of these coins? And while I can't guarantee you're about to become a millionaire by checking your change, it's definitely worth taking a closer look at any 2006 pennies you come across. Now, let's get into a quick, relatable story about how this all became a personal thing for me. A while back, I was sorting through a pile of old coins I'd inherited from my grandfather. At first, it was just a bunch of pennies, nickels, and dimes, nothing spectacular. But then, I found a 2006 D penny that looked a little different. I mean, it didn't exactly look special, but there was something about it that caught my eye. I wasn't sure if it was an error coin or just one of those weirdly worn-out pennies, so I did some research. After staring at it for hours and almost giving up, I realized, hey, this thing's got the doubling. I rushed to an appraiser, and while it wasn't worth $1.6 million, it was still worth more than my morning cup of coffee. Moral of the story? Always check your change. You never know when you'll stumble upon something that could pay off big. Not every 2006 D penny is a gold mine, but it could be. If you find one with that double die error, you could have a treasure worth thousands, if not millions. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just someone who happens to have a jar of loose change lying around, it's always worth checking. And hey, if you want to learn more about rare coins, valuable errors, and ways to make your pocket change actually worth something, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more tips and tricks up my sleeve to help you navigate the wild world of coin collecting, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. Plus, if you find a rare coin, you'll have me to thank for it later. Catch you in the next one, and remember, keep an eye on that change. You never know when you'll find your next big score. Do you ever find yourself looking at a penny and thinking, is this little thing worth anything? Well, buckle up, because today, we're talking about a coin that's definitely worth more than just a cent. In fact, we're diving into the story of a 1987 Lincoln penny with no mint mark that could be sitting in your pocket right now, waiting to make you a small fortune. Yup, we're talking about a penny that could be worth up to $1.70 million. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny? That's a long shot. Well, don't click away just yet because this is a good one. If you're lucky enough to find this elusive coin, it could change the way you look at your spare change forever. The 1987 penny. If you've ever checked out the back of a penny, you know that it usually has the mint mark, a little letter indicating where it was made, either in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But here's the thing. Some 1987 pennies don't have a mint mark. That's right, no letter at all. And that's where the magic happens. You see, most pennies made in 1987 came from the Denver Mint and have a small D right there on the back. So when you spot one without a mint mark, it's a bit of an oddball. People don't see them often, and that makes them rare, and rare things are valuable. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, but, a needle worth millions. The market for these no-mint mark pennies has been absolutely wild. They started popping up in the early 2000s, and coin experts quickly realized there was something special about them. Some are worth a few $100s, while others, like the famous one that went for $1.7 million at auction, are worth so much more. How did that happen? Well, it turns out that this mistake in minting makes the coin incredibly unique. So much so that it's been known to fetch a crazy high price. But hold on, before you rush to check every penny in your change jar, let me give you a heads up. Finding one of these is like hitting the lottery. The ones worth millions are extremely rare, and there's a lot of fakes out there too, so it's important to know what you're looking for. If you come across a 1987 penny without a mint mark, make sure you get it checked out by a professional. It's better to be safe than sorry, right? Now, I know you're probably wondering, why on earth does a penny with no mint mark become so valuable? It's all about rarity. Coins are usually mass-produced, but a mint error like this creates something one of a kind. Collectors love these anomalies because it's a story. They're not just buying a coin. They're buying a piece of history, a mistake that became incredibly valuable. It's kind of like finding an old comic book with a printing error that makes it more valuable than the first edition. People love that stuff. A few years ago, I found a bunch of old coins in a dusty box at my grandparents' house. I thought they were all junk, just some old pennies, nickels, and dimes that had probably been sitting in there for decades. But as I was going through them, I stumbled upon a 1970-something penny that seemed a little off. It didn't have the right shine, and something about the edge felt weird. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I knew I should get it checked. Turns out, it was a rare version of a coin with an unusual error. It wasn't worth millions, but it was worth a couple $100. Moral of the story? Never underestimate the potential value of an old coin sitting in your drawer. Who knows, you could have a little treasure waiting to be found, so the next time you reach into your pocket or dig through that jar of loose change, remember to keep an eye out for that 1987 penny with no mint mark. It might just be your ticket to a life-changing sum of money. Of course, the odds are slim, but who doesn't love a good treasure hunt? If you've learned something new today, or if you're just feeling lucky, go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more tips on coins worth money, rare finds, and maybe even more coin stories. I'll be back with more secrets from the world of coin collecting. I've got a question for you. Do you have any pennies lying around? I'm not talking about those worn out ones you find stuck in the couch cushions. No, I'm talking about a real gem from 2003 that could be worth, get this, $1.8 million. Sounds crazy, right? Well, it's true. Stick around because by the end of this video, you might just be searching through your penny jar with a whole new level of excitement. Alright, let's get into it. You're probably thinking, what's so special about a 2003 penny? Well, if you have one with no mint mark, you could be sitting on a small fortune. But before you start pulling pennies out of every drawer, let me break it down for you. So, back in 2003, most of the pennies made in the US had a mint mark, either the D for Denver or the P for Philadelphia. But, and here's where it gets interesting, a very small number of pennies were made without a mint mark, and that's where the magic happens. Why no mint mark? Well, it wasn't supposed to happen. There was an error at the US Mint where a batch of pennies slipped through the cracks without getting stamped with their mint mark. You know, like when you forget to put a stamp on a letter and it just gets stuck in the system. Except, in this case, that mistake made it onto a penny, and now it's worth $1.8 million if you find the right buyer. You might be asking, how do I know if my penny is the one? Good question. It's a 2003 Lincoln penny, and it has to be in mint condition to fetch that kind of price. We're talking about a coin that hasn't been in circulation for years, one that's basically as fresh as the day it was made. If your penny looks like it's been through a few laundromats and has more scratches than a vinyl record in a toddler's hands, don't expect to hit the jackpot. But hey, even if your penny is a little scuffed, it could still be worth more than the face value. The market is constantly changing, and sometimes, even the most regular coins can fetch surprising amounts. Some people have sold these error pennies for thousands of dollars. It's not always 1.8 million, but it's definitely worth checking out. I have a ton of pennies, but I'm not sure where to start. Don't worry, you're not alone. I've been there. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale and came across a jar of loose change. I bought it for a couple of bucks, mostly for fun. I mean, who doesn't love a good treasure hunt, right? After going through the coins, I found a 1943 steel penny. Nothing crazy, but it was worth way more than I'd paid for the whole jar. It wasn't 1.8 million, but it made me think twice about what I had in my pocket change. This brings me to an important point. Always take a second look at your coins. Whether it's a penny, a nickel, or even a quarter, you never know what could be hiding in your collection. That 2003 no mint mark penny? It's just the tip of the iceberg. So, what's the takeaway from today's episode? If you find a 2003 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, get it checked out. It could be worth millions, but even if it's not, don't underestimate the value of your everyday change. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, there's always something new to discover. Before you go diving into your coin collection, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll be back with more tips on coins, currency, and strategies to help you spot valuable pieces. And who knows, next time you might be holding the next big money maker. How many of you have ever found a coin in your pocket or under your couch cushions and thought, could this be worth something? Well, buckle up, because today I'm about to blow your mind with a story about a coin that could make you rich if you just happen to have one lying around. The 1978 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. You heard that right. Pennies, that shiny copper, or is it zinc? Little guy we all toss around, can sometimes be worth a whole lot more than just 1 cent. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just start looking at your spare change a little differently. So, first things first. The 1978 D Mint Mark penny. You're probably wondering, what's so special about this little guy? After all, pennies are everywhere, right? You probably even toss them into a jar somewhere. But hold up, this particular penny, if it's got that mint mark D on it, can be worth a shocking $1.9 million. Yeah, you heard me. Million. It's not a typo. Now, how in the world did a humble penny become worth millions? Well, that's what we're about to dive into. Let's start with a little history lesson. The 1978 D penny was minted in Denver, which is where that D mint mark comes from. Some of these pennies were accidentally struck with a rare die, making them a bit different from your average 1978 pennies. It's like hitting the jackpot at a casino, but instead of a bunch of coins falling from the sky, it's one little penny that could make you a millionaire. The special thing about this penny is that it has a double die error, meaning the design on the penny is slightly off-center. So, when you look closely, you might notice that the details of Abraham Lincoln's face, the date, and the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" are a little blurry, or even double-stamped. It's like a printing mistake, but one that makes the penny super valuable. But here's the kicker. Not all 1978 D pennies are worth a fortune. In fact, most of them are worth only 1 cent. The ones that are worth big bucks are the rare, error-struck ones. So, how do you know if you've got one? Well, it all comes down to inspecting the coin carefully. Grab a magnifying glass, or even your phone's camera if you're feeling fancy, and look closely at Lincoln's face. If it looks a little blurry, a little off-center, or even double-printed, you might just have one of the rarest pennies out there. I know. This sounds like a lot of work just to check a penny. A lot of people would have thrown that penny away without a second thought. You know the type. Those who scoff at the idea of keeping pennies in a jar because they think they're worthless. But that's where you could score big. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was at a garage sale because, yes, I'm that person who loves a good bargain hunt, when I came across an old box of coins. It was just sitting there, gathering dust, marked with a free sign. Now, I'm not saying I'm a coin expert, but I've learned a thing or two from this channel. So I dug through the box and found a handful of pennies, some looking older than others. As I was going through them, I spotted a 1978 penny with a D mint mark. Now, I didn't think it was the $1 million kind, but I thought, hey, this could be worth something. I held on to it, did some research, and wouldn't you know it? It turned out to be a regular old penny worth, well, about a penny. But that's the thing about coins. You never know when you're going to find something special. And with the 1978 D penny, it could literally change your life. But remember, just because it has that mint mark doesn't mean it's going to be worth millions. You need to check for those errors and make sure it's in good condition too. The better the condition, the higher the value. So, what can we learn from all this? First off, don't go throwing your pennies away. It's crazy to think that something so small could be worth so much. But hey, that's the beauty of coin collecting. It's a treasure hunt, and you never know when you might strike gold. Or in this case, strike copper. If you've got a 1978 D penny sitting around, don't just toss it into a jar or forget about it. Take a closer look and check for any errors. Who knows, you might just find the coin that changes your financial future. And if you want more tips on finding coins that are actually worth more than a few cents, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on more money-making tips that could be hiding right under your nose. If you've ever dug around your change jar or sifted through a pile of pennies, you've probably come across a few strange or rare coins. But did you know that a 2014 penny could be worth $2 million? Yes, you heard that right. A coin that's practically as common as dirt could be worth a fortune, and I'm about to tell you exactly why. Stick with me because this might just be the coin you've been looking for. Now, before you go running to your couch cushions to search for that elusive penny, let me set the stage. The 2014 Abraham Lincoln penny is part of the regular U.S. mint production, right? But there's a twist. You see, every year, the U.S. Mint releases millions of pennies, and most of them are, well, pretty standard. The thing is, in 2014, there was a super rare mistake. A penny that didn't have a mint mark. If you're not familiar, every coin made in the U.S. typically has a little mint mark that tells you where it was made. But this particular penny was missing that mint mark. And guess what? That tiny little error could make it worth millions. But let's back up a bit and talk about how this happened. The U.S. Mint accidentally left out the mint mark on a few 2014 pennies. Normally, the mint mark is stamped on the coin to show whether it was made in Philadelphia or Denver. But this one, no mint mark at all. For years, we've been seeing coins from all sorts of places, but the ones without mint marks were, let's just say, a bit of a rarity. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could something as small as a missing mint mark make such a big difference in value? And that, my friend, is where the magic happens. Rare coins like this one are highly sought after by collectors, especially when they're the result of an error. Imagine owning a coin that was supposed to be part of a sea of pennies, but instead, it turned into something no one expected. That mistake, my friends, is where the value lies. To give you some perspective, just last year, a 2014 no mint mark penny was sold at auction for a whopping $2 million. Can you believe that? I mean, who knew a coin worth 1 cent could turn into a multi-million-dollar jackpot? Now, before you get too excited and think you're going to strike it rich, let's be real. Not every 2014 penny without a mint mark is worth millions. The condition of the coin matters too. A mint condition penny will fetch a lot more than one that's been run over by a car or spent decades under your couch cushions. So, if you find one, it's time to take a closer look and maybe even get it appraised by a professional. So, how do you know if you've got one of these rare coins? Well, the first thing you want to check for is the mint mark, or the lack of it. If your 2014 penny has no mint mark, you're already in the right territory. The next step is to inspect the coin for any damage, wear, or signs of circulation. The better the condition, the higher the value. Now, I know what you're thinking. How likely is it that you have one of these million-dollar pennies sitting in your drawer right now? Well, honestly, it's a long shot. But hey, stranger things have happened. For example, a friend of mine once found a rare 1955 double-die penny in his grandmother's old coin jar. He didn't even know what he had until he took it to a dealer, and it ended up being worth thousands of dollars. Moral of the story? Always check your change. You never know when a hidden treasure might turn up. That 2014 penny with no mint mark could be worth a small fortune, up to $2 million. To to be exact. But if you're lucky enough to find one, make sure to hold on to it tight, get it appraised, and treat it like the treasure it could be. And if you're sitting there now thinking, well, that's all great, but I need more tips on how to spot rare coins, don't worry. I've got you covered. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because I've got tons more coin hunting strategies, hidden gems, and tips coming your way. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, keep those eyes peeled for rare coins. They might just be worth more than you think. You're rummaging through an old box of pennies, maybe while cleaning out the attic or sorting through that jar of loose change you've been meaning to get rid of for years. Suddenly, your heart skips a beat. You find a 1986 penny. You look at it closely, and for a moment, you think, is this it? Could this be the one worth a fortune? Well, folks, guess what? It could be. But not just any 1986 penny. It's the elusive 1986 penny with no mint mark. And yes, this little copper nugget is worth over $2 million in the current market. Yep, you heard that right, $2 million for a penny. Makes you want to dig through that change jar, right? Now, let's slow down a bit, because I know what you're thinking. Hold up, a penny worth $2.1 million? That's insane. There must be a catch. And you're right to be skeptical. But here's the deal. This isn't some magic trick or get-rich-quick scheme. It's all about rarity, condition, and the story behind this coin. Let's break it down a bit. So, in 1986, most pennies were minted with a small D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But a tiny handful, and I mean a very tiny handful, were struck without any mint mark at all. This means that this particular penny wasn't stamped with a mint identifier, which makes it super rare. Rarity equals value in the coin world, and when you mix in the right condition, you've got a real treasure. You might be wondering, why no mint mark? Well, there's still a bit of mystery surrounding this. Some believe it was a minting error, some think it could have been an intentional omission, but either way, only a few of these 1986 no mint mark pennies exist. And as you can guess, the fewer there are, the more valuable they become. Let me share a little personal story with you. A while ago, I was digging through some old pennies my grandfather had given me. I wasn't expecting much, just some coins to toss into my so what pile, you know? But, to my surprise, I found a 1982 penny that looked a little different. It was in great shape, and for a second, I thought, maybe this one could be worth something. Turns out, it wasn't the exact kind I was hoping for, but the excitement I felt when I found that coin is something I'll never forget. That feeling of stumbling upon something rare and valuable is just incredible, and that's exactly why you should pay attention to pennies like the 1986 no mint mark. Now, let's talk value for a second. I know $2.1 million sounds like a crazy number for a coin that's just the size of a dime, but that's the beauty of coin collecting. It's all about the condition, the rarity, and who wants it. A 1986 no mint mark penny in pristine condition, with no wear and tear, has recently been valued at over $2 million in auctions. That's the kind of money that could change your life. But, and this is important, these coins don't just pop up every day. If you find one, make sure to get it professionally appraised before you start thinking about how you're going to spend that newfound fortune. But before you run off to search through every penny in your possession, remember that just because you've got a 1986 penny, it doesn't mean it's worth millions. The mint mark is the key here. If there's a D or S on that coin, it's not the one we're talking about. And let's be real, most pennies won't fetch much. But hey, you never know. If you happen to come across a 1986 penny with no mint mark, you might just have yourself a ticket to the Coin Collectors Hall of Fame. But even if you don't, keep an eye out for other rare and valuable coins. You might just find the next big thing while cleaning out that drawer of change. Before I let you go, do me a favor. If you're into coins, if you love learning about valuable treasures, or if you just want to get the inside scoop on the next big find, hit that subscribe button. I've got more tips, tricks, and coin strategies coming your way. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on what's hiding in your pocket change. Who knows, your next big find could be just a penny away. Have you ever wondered if that old penny you found in your couch cushions could be worth a small fortune? Well, get ready to get excited because today we're talking about a penny that could make you seriously rich. The 1997 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Yes, you heard that right, a penny. This little guy could be worth up to $2.2 million. Now, I know you're thinking, no way, it's just a penny. But trust me, it's not just any penny. Stick around, because this penny has a story that's just waiting to put your coin collection on the map. Alright, let's break this down. First of all, most of us think of pennies as those things we toss into a jar to collect dust, right? You probably have a few rolling around in your change drawer, and you're just waiting for them to get enough value to pay for a cup of coffee. But what if I told you that one of those pennies could be worth more than your car? Yep, it's true. So, what's so special about this 1997 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny? Well, to start, it's not the penny itself that makes it so valuable. It's all about a super rare mistake that happened during the minting process. You see, some of these 1997 pennies were struck on a wrong planchet, which means they were made on a piece of metal that wasn't supposed to be used for pennies at all. These pennies, which should have been made from the regular copper-plated zinc, instead have this crazy off-metal composition, making them super rare and highly desirable to collectors. And here's the kicker. There are only a handful of these rare pennies out there, and they're fetching some serious cash at auctions. We're talking about a 1997 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny that sold for an eye-popping $2.2 million. Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't mind finding one of those in my pocket change. But before you go running to your nearest coin store and start tossing your pennies in the air like you just hit the jackpot, remember, it's not every 1997 penny that's worth millions. You need to look out for a few key details if you think you've got a winner. First, make sure it's the 1997 D Mint mark. The D stands for the Denver Mint, where the coin was produced. And next, check if it has the off-metal error. That's going to be the real prize. Now, I know what you're thinking. How in the world do I know if I've got one of these rare pennies? Well, here's a tip. If you have a magnifying glass, or even just a good pair of glasses, take a close look at the color and weight of the penny. A genuine off-metal penny will look a little different than your usual copper-colored pennies, and it will likely feel heavier. If you suspect it could be valuable, it's worth getting it professionally appraised. Okay, quick personal story for you. A few years ago, I was going through some old change I had stashed away in a drawer. I found a 1997 penny, and I thought, hey, maybe it's worth something. But I just tossed it aside, thinking it was no big deal. I didn't check it closely, and guess what? It wasn't $1 million penny, but I've learned my lesson. Now, I always double-check my coins before I let them slip through my fingers. So take it from me, never underestimate the power of a penny. Now, let's talk about how you can take advantage of this. If you think you found a 1997 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny or any other potentially rare coin, it's time to start doing your research. Check out online coin forums, consult experts, or even take your coin to a professional numismatist, fancy word for a coin expert. You never know. You might have just found your ticket to the big time. Alright, folks, I hope this video has opened your eyes to the fact that sometimes rare treasures are hiding in plain sight. Like that old penny you've got tucked away in your wallet. The 1997 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny could be worth a fortune if you've got the right one. But only by knowing what to look for will you be able to spot a true gem. If you enjoyed learning about this rare coin and want more tips on finding coins worth money, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll be dropping more videos with strategies to help you build a collection that could one day make you a millionaire. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on that. And hey, if you find a 1997 D Mint Mark penny that's worth millions, don't forget who helped you spot it. Let me know in the comments if you've got any rare coins hiding in your collection. You're flipping through a jar of pennies, looking for that one elusive coin that could change your life forever. And boom, you find a 1973 D Lincoln penny. But wait, did you know that penny might just be worth more than your car? No, seriously. Some 1973 D pennies have sold for an insane $2.3 million. Sounds too good to be true? Well, buckle up because today, we're diving into this crazy story and uncovering the truth about what makes this penny so valuable. And trust me, by the end, you'll be checking your change like you're looking for buried treasure. So, let's get into it. Alright, first off, let's talk about what makes a penny worth more than a couple of cents. Normally, we think of pennies as just, well, pennies. You toss them in your pocket or let them collect dust in a jar. But every once in a while, a coin comes along that's a little more special. So, what's the deal with the 1973 D penny? The D on the coin means it was minted in Denver. Normally, this penny's value is, 1 cent. But there's a rare version out there that's caught the eyes of collectors and, get this, sold for a whopping $2.3 million at auction. How did this happen? Well, it all comes down to one little thing: a minting error. You see, in some very rare cases, a small mistake happens at the mint. This can create a coin that's off-center, has double stamping, or in some cases, was even struck on the wrong type of planchet. That's the metal disc the coin is made of. For the 1973 D penny, the error involves a particular misalignment that makes the coin incredibly rare and valuable. It's like when you're baking cookies and one accidentally comes out perfect, but only because the dough didn't mix right. That cookie is worth keeping, right? How do I know if I've got one of these million-dollar pennies? Great question. There are a couple of things to look out for. First, you'll want to check the condition of the coin. The 1973 D penny with the error is often in mint condition. This is crucial because a coin with wear and tear is much less likely to fetch a high price. If it's got that rare minting error and is in excellent shape, then you might be holding on to something special. Now, let's talk about the auction story behind the $2.3 million sale. It wasn't just any penny. It was the penny. The buyer who snagged this rare find is someone who knows their stuff. And the coin sale was a huge deal in the numismatic world, fancy way of saying coin collecting. A coin that was once worth 1 cent became the talk of the town after that auction. Now, every collector and their dog is on the hunt for that same error, hoping for the same incredible payday. But remember, finding one is like finding a needle in a haystack. Not every 1973 D penny will get you rich. Here's a quick personal story to lighten things up. I remember the time I was searching through my old coin jar, hoping to find something cool. All I found was a bunch of corroded pennies and a 1980s dime that looked like it had been through a war zone. But hey, I wasn't discouraged. Sometimes, it's all about patience and a little luck. One of these days, maybe I'll find my million-dollar coin. Or maybe I'll just keep finding pennies for the time being. Who knows? But seriously, there's something magical about going through old change. Whether it's coins from your childhood or a random penny you find on the sidewalk, there's always a chance it could be worth a lot more than its face value. And that's what makes coin collecting so fun. So, what's the bottom line? The 1973 D Lincoln penny is an amazing example of how a simple error can turn an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. But don't get too excited just yet. Only a tiny fraction of these pennies are worth anything close to that $2.3 million. But hey, that doesn't mean your pennies are worthless. Start checking your change, and who knows? You could be holding on to a future treasure. If you're loving these coin tips and want to learn more about rare coins, their values, and strategies for finding them, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty of tips and tricks up my sleeve to help you turn your pocket change into some serious cash. Plus, I'll keep sharing stories like mine so you can laugh, learn, and hopefully find a few treasures along the way. You ever looked at a penny and thought, this is just a penny, nothing special? Well, buckle up, because you might be staring at a small fortune and not even know it. Today, we're talking about the 2002 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And this little guy might just be worth more than your entire piggy bank. Yup, you heard me right. Some of these pennies are worth a jaw-dropping $2.4 million. Stick with me because I'm going to tell you why, and maybe you'll check your spare change a little differently after today. Alright, let's get into it. First, let's talk about this special penny, the 2002 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, before you go running to your change jar, let's clarify something. Not every 2002 D penny is worth millions. There's a lot more to it than that. But when you get the right one, and I mean the right one, you could be holding on to a piece of history worth way more than its face value. So, what makes the 2002 D penny so special? Well, to understand that, we need to take a quick trip down memory lane. Back in 2002, the US Mint produced millions of these pennies, so they were pretty common at the time. However, there's one key thing that could turn your ordinary penny into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Errors. Yep, you heard that right. Like many things in life, sometimes mistakes are the ones that make the big bucks. The $2.4 million penny you might have heard about is one of those rare, error-filled coins. These particular pennies have a very unique, noticeable flaw, the close AM variety. If you take a close look, you'll see that the A and M in the word America are very close together. This wasn't supposed to happen. The US Mint made an error and accidentally struck these pennies with a different die, resulting in the close spacing of those letters. But don't get too excited just yet. These error coins are extremely rare. In fact, only a handful of these close AM pennies have been discovered. So, unless you're lucky enough to find one hiding in your pocket change or your grandmother's old coin jar, you might not have that $2.4 million coin on your hands. But hey, it's still a fun thought, right? Okay, how do I find out if I have one of these super rare pennies? Good question. First, you want to make sure the penny is from the 2002 D Mint. Look for the D Mint mark on the front of the coin, just under Abraham Lincoln's famous face. That's where it all starts. Next, check for that close AM error. Take a good look at the AM in America on the back of the penny. If the letters are close together, like too close for comfort, congratulations, you might have something special. Of course, the penny's condition matters too. If it's all scratched up, bent, or tarnished, it's not going to fetch anywhere near the $2.4 million price tag. But if you happen to find one in excellent condition, you could be looking at a valuable coin. And listen, I know it's easy to get excited when you find a penny that looks a little different. I've been there. I once found a coin that I thought was going to make me a millionaire, only to discover it was just a really, really dirty penny. But hey, that doesn't mean the hunt isn't worth it. There are plenty of other coins out there that could be worth big bucks, so it's always good to keep an eye out. The 2002 D Mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny could be worth a small fortune if it's one of those rare, error-filled close AM pennies. While finding one of these is about as likely as winning the lottery, it's still a fun reminder that your spare change might not be as boring as you think. And who knows? Maybe you've got a hidden treasure just waiting to be discovered. If you're serious about finding coins that are worth more than face value, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips, strategies, and insider info coming your way to help you find coins that are worth big bucks. Don't miss out on any of it. Imagine this. You're sorting through your loose change, probably looking for coffee money, and boom, you stumble upon a 2006 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Nothing fancy, right? Wrong. What if I told you that little copper coin could be worth $1.8 million? Yes, you heard that right, $1 million. Not bad for a coin that probably passed through vending machines and couch cushions for years. Today, we're diving into the wild story of the 2006 no mint mark Lincoln penny, its jaw-dropping value, and how you might just hit the jackpot with one. Oh, and stick around because I'll share a story about a time I thought I found a rare coin, but instead got a life lesson. Let's get into it. What's the deal with no mint mark coins? Okay, quick coin lesson for the newbies. Most US coins have a tiny letter stamped on them that tells you where they were made, P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and so on. But sometimes, a coin slips through the cracks without a mint mark. It's like the factory forgot to sign its work. Usually, no big deal, but in rare cases, this error makes the coin insanely valuable. Now, the 2006 Lincoln penny is supposed to have a mint mark if it was minted anywhere besides Philadelphia. But a rare batch of pennies with no mint mark was accidentally released, and the rest is history. Collectors love these unique errors. It's like the coin world version of finding a four-leaf clover. Not all no mint mark pennies are created equal. The value depends on rarity, condition, and demand. For the 2006 Lincoln penny, it's a perfect storm. Only a handful of these coins were ever discovered, and their pristine condition, graded as a mess 70 by professionals, makes them stand out. Add the collector frenzy, and suddenly, one of these pennies fetched $1.8 million at auction. That's more than most people's homes. But before you start flipping your coin jars upside down, know this: most 2006 pennies with no mint mark aren't worth that much. The $1 million ones are flawless, untouched, and look like they just left the mint yesterday. Think of it like this. You wouldn't pay millions for a crumpled old baseball card, but a mint-condition rookie card? That's a different story. A relatable coin hunt fail now. Let me tell you about the time I thought I struck gold, or copper in this case. I was going through my childhood coin collection, the one where you stick quarters into those cardboard maps, when I spotted a 1999 penny with no mint mark. My heart raced. I was sure it was worth thousands. I ran to a local coin shop, feeling like I'd cracked the Da Vinci Code of pocket change. The guy behind the counter took one look at my penny and said, "Yeah, this is worth 1 cent. Talk about a buzzkill." Turns out, Philadelphia pennies usually don't have mint marks. Lesson learned. Not all no-mint mark coins are treasures. But hey, at least I got a story out of it, and now I triple-check every coin I find. How to spot a rare penny. So, how do you know if you've hit the jackpot? Look for a 2006 penny. If there's no little letter under the date, you might be onto something. The shinier and newer it looks, the better. Scratches or wear will hurt its value. If you think you've got a winner, take it to a professional coin grader. It's worth the investment if your coin could be worth millions. And there you have it, folks. The story of how a tiny, overlooked coin became worth $1.8 million. Who knew checking your spare change could lead to life-changing cash? Next time you're digging through your car's cup holder or cleaning out that old junk drawer, keep an eye out for a 2006 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. You never know. It might just be your golden ticket. Now, if you love discovering hidden treasures and learning how to turn pocket change into big bucks, hit that subscribe button and join our community of coin enthusiasts. Don't forget to like this video and share it with a friend who could use some luck. And hey, who knows? Maybe you'll be the next millionaire we talk about. Hey there, coin collectors, curious folks, and anyone who's ever wondered if that old penny hiding at the bottom of your couch is worth more than $1. Well, hold on to your change jars because today we're talking about one of the most mind-blowing coins out there. The 1951 wheat penny with a mint mark. Spoiler alert, it could be worth $1.9 million. Yup, you heard that right. I'm not joking. I know, you're probably thinking, there's no way. That's gotta be a typo. But trust me, it's real, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to spot it and why it's so special. So, grab your magnifying glass, because things are about to get interesting. Alright, let's take a deep dive into this penny phenomenon. You might be thinking, what makes a 1951 penny so special? I mean, it's just a penny, right? Wrong. While most 1951 pennies are pretty run-of-the-mill, there's a rare version of this coin that's got collectors drooling. It's the 1951 wheat penny with a mint mark. But not just any mint mark, it's the one from the Denver Mint. That little D at the bottom is the key to unlocking this coin's enormous value. So, how do we get to $1.9 million? Well, let's rewind a bit. Mint marks are little letters found on most US coins, and they tell you where the coin was made. The Denver Mint uses a D mint mark, and for some reason, the 1951 D wheat penny is crazy rare. It's not that they didn't make enough of them. It's that not many of them survived in perfect condition. We're talking about a penny in mint state condition. Essentially, it looks like it was just made yesterday. These things are super hard to find, which is why their value has skyrocketed. But let's talk about value. The 1951 D wheat penny in good condition is worth around $1 to $3. So, you're probably wondering, well, how do we go from $3 to $1.9 million? The secret is in the grade of the coin. You see, when a coin is graded, it's evaluated based on its condition. Think of it like a report card for a coin. The higher the grade, the more it's worth. A perfect grade for this penny would be MS 67 or above. But here's the kicker. A coin in MS 67 condition can be worth a whopping $1.9 million. Why? Because finding one in that pristine state is rarer than finding a needle in a haystack. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, I've got a 1951 penny, but it's got a few scratches and maybe a little dirt on it. Is it worth $1.9 million too? Unfortunately, not exactly. But hey, if you've got one that's in good shape, you could still be holding on to something that's worth more than face value. In fact, most people don't realize how much their pennies are worth. I didn't. Let me share a quick personal story. A few years ago, I was going through some old coins my grandpa left me, and I found a bunch of 1940s and 1950s pennies. I honestly didn't think much of them. I mean, they're pennies, right? But on a whim, I decided to get a couple of them appraised. Imagine my surprise when the coin dealer told me I had a few pennies worth a lot more than I ever imagined. One of them turned out to be a rare 1944 steel penny, and while it wasn't worth $1.9 million, it was still worth several $100. That was a nice surprise, to say the least. So, moral of the story? Check your change. It doesn't hurt to take a closer look at your old coins, because you never know. You might have something valuable hiding right under your nose. So there you have it. The 1951 wheat penny with a Denver Mint mark could potentially be worth millions if you find the right one in perfect condition. It's all about the rarity, the mint mark, and the condition of the coin. If you've got one, it's time to dust it off, get it graded, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be sitting on a small fortune. Now, before you start checking every penny in your collection or your piggy bank, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on more tips like these. I'll be back soon with more insider knowledge on coins worth money, valuable finds, and maybe even a few more jaw-dropping stories. And hey, if you found this video helpful, share it with your friends. They'll thank you later when they check their coins and find out they're rich too. You're flipping through a bunch of pennies you found in your couch cushions, maybe even considering turning them into your own personal penny bank. Then, bam, you come across a 1988 penny. You take a look at it, and instead of just adding it to your jar, you pause. Could this humble little coin actually be worth more than you thought? Well, buckle up because today, we're diving into a penny that could potentially put a cool $1,000,000 in your pocket. Yep, you heard me right, 1 million. Let's talk about the legendary 1988 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. All right, before you start checking your pockets or diving into that old coin jar, let me hit you with the basics. Most of us are used to seeing mint marks on our coins, right? That little letter on the coin, usually by the date, tells you where it was made. If you see an S, it means the coin came from San Francisco. D means Denver, and P? That's for Philly. But the 1988 penny, oh, it's got a special twist. The 1988 penny is an otherwise normal coin in terms of design. It's got the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln, with the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But what makes this penny so rare is the absence of that mint mark. And this is where the magic happens. See, most pennies from 1988 were produced with the D mint mark, indicating they came from the Denver Mint. But a tiny, mysterious batch of these pennies, just a few thousand of them, came out of the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark at all. Talk about a glitch in the matrix now. You might be thinking, okay, so it's a weird little error. Big deal, right? Well, hold on to your hats, because here's where it gets interesting. These no mint mark 1988 pennies are rare. I mean, really rare. While it's difficult to pinpoint an exact number of how many are out there, experts say it's somewhere in the thousands, if not less. And when rarity meets demand, the value skyrockets. So, if you happen to come across one of these little beauties, you're looking at a potential market value of, get this, $1 million. Crazy, right? I mean, it's just a penny. You're probably thinking, how in the world is a penny worth that much? Well, my friend, this is where rarity and collector passion collide. Coin collectors love these kinds of mistakes. It's like finding a rare Pokemon card in your cereal box as a kid. Everyone wants a piece of the action. I actually had a similar experience a few years back. I found a random coin in a pile of change, just a standard-looking penny. But I kept it around, thinking, it might be worth a couple of cents more than the others. Fast forward to a few months ago when I was doing a little cleaning out of my desk drawers and bam, I found it again. Turns out, it wasn't just a random penny after all. It was a 1955 double-die penny. Not quite $1,000,000, but definitely worth a lot more than I thought. I felt like a coin detective. So, moral of the story, never underestimate a penny. Now, don't go running off to sell your 1988 pennies just yet. The value of these rare coins depends on their condition. A well-worn penny will obviously be worth less than one that's in mint condition. If you find a shiny one, or maybe even one that's still in that fresh out of the mint look, you've got yourself a potential jackpot. In fact, many collectors prefer these coins in uncirculated condition, which means they've never been spent and have stayed pristine over the years. The best way to check your penny is by giving it a careful inspection. Look closely at the date and the absence of a mint mark. If it's sitting there on your 1988 penny, you could be looking at your ticket to a hefty payday. The coin world can be tricky. A lot of counterfeit coins and even reproductions flood the market. So before you get too excited about your newfound treasure, I highly recommend getting it appraised by a professional coin dealer or a grading service. That way, you can be sure you're sitting on something worth your while. So there you have it, folks. The 1988 No Mint Mark Penny. It's the ultimate what-if coin that could change your life. Well, if you happen to have one in great condition lying around. But whether or not you strike it rich, the world of coins is full of surprises. That's why I always say, never underestimate the power of a penny, because sometimes they hold a whole lot more than you think. If you enjoyed learning about this amazing coin, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more tips, tricks, and stories from the world of coin collecting. You never know. You might just find the next $1 million penny in your pocket. Keep collecting, stay curious, and as always, happy hunting. Hey, this is old. I wonder if it's worth anything. You're not alone. But today, I've got a story that might make you want to go digging through that change jar or check your coin collection. A coin that was made in 1968 that's got no mint mark and is worth, wait for it, over $1 million. Yeah, you heard that right. A 1968 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Crazy, right? Well, stick around because we're about to dive into how this coin went from a forgotten piece of pocket change to a jaw-dropping collector's item worth a fortune. Now, let's break it down. The year is 1968, and you know what's going on in the world, right? The Vietnam War is raging. There's a ton of social change happening, and people are walking around with pennies in their pockets without even thinking twice. Little did they know, there was a specific penny being minted that year that could one day become one of the most sought-after coins in the world. Most of the 1968 pennies are what we call normal. They've got the D mint mark if they were made in Denver, or the S mint mark if they were made in San Francisco. But here's where it gets interesting. A very small number of 1968 pennies were produced in Philadelphia, and wait for it, they didn't have a mint mark. So, if you've got a 1968 penny with no mint mark, chances are it's a rare error coin that could be worth an absolute fortune. Now, you might be thinking, why would a penny with no mint mark be so valuable? The US Mint generally made sure to put a mint mark on each coin to show where it was produced. But for some reason, a batch of 1968 pennies came out of the Philadelphia Mint with no mark. This tiny mistake makes it a special and rare piece of history. The thing is, most people didn't realize its value at the time. They were just tossing them in jars, piggy banks, or worse, just spinning them on a candy bar. Fast forward to today, and collectors are hunting for these little guys like their hidden treasure. One of these 1968 no mint mark pennies was sold for over $1.1 million at auction. That's right, over $1 million. Now, I don't know about you, but I sure would love to stumble upon one of those. But it's not just about the money. There's something magical about finding a piece of history, especially in something as simple as a penny. Let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale, and let's be honest, who doesn't love a good garage sale, right? I was rummaging through a box of old coins, and I came across a 1968 penny. It didn't have a mint mark, so naturally, I thought, hey, it could be the one. I immediately Googled it, but no, it was just a regular 1968 penny. Still, I held on to it for sentimental value. Because, hey, even a regular penny has its history. But it just goes to show you, sometimes the coolest coins are hiding in plain sight. Now, back to the big bucks. A 1968 penny with no mint mark doesn't just show up every day. The market for these coins is selective, and it's about finding the right one in good condition. A penny that's in great shape, with no wear and tear, has a much higher chance of getting noticed by collectors and dealers. So, what should you do if you think you've got one of these rare pennies? Well, first, take a deep breath and stop spending it. Then, check the condition of your coin. Is it in good shape? Can you read the details clearly? If it looks like it's in great condition, you might want to get it appraised by a professional or send it to a coin grading service to get an official value. And remember, condition is everything. A penny that looks worn and scratched is going to be worth a lot less than one that's still shiny and fresh. If you want to keep your coin game strong and stay on top of valuable finds like this, hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of tips, strategies, and stories about coins that are worth way more than you might think. Don't miss out on future videos, because you never know, your next treasure might be sitting in your pocket right now. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. hopefully with a whole lot more valuable coins to talk about. You're digging through a jar of pennies, just a regular old day of hunting for spare change, and suddenly, you stumble across a 1982 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's just a penny, right? Well, hold on to your hats because that just a penny could actually be worth over $1 million. Yep, you heard me right, folks. This little copper coin might just be worth $1.2 million in the right condition. Now, let's break it down, because this is one of those stories you'll want to tell your friends about. So, grab a snack, sit back, and let's get into the crazy world of coin collecting. Alright, first things first. If you don't already know, the 1982 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny was made by the U.S. Mint in Denver. In most cases, a penny is just a penny. It's got Abraham Lincoln's face on it, the word Liberty and In God We Trust on the front, and a memorial on the back. Pretty standard stuff. But here's where it gets interesting. In 1982, the U.S. Mint switched up the composition of the penny. Before that, pennies were made of mostly copper, but they decided to mix in some zinc. So, if you have a 1982 penny in your hands, there's a chance it's either copper or zinc, depending on the exact date it was minted. Some of these pennies came out with an error. Yep, the 1982 D Mint Mark penny that you want to keep your eyes peeled for is one that was supposed to be made with a copper core, but somehow ended up being made out of zinc. That's right, a zinc penny that was supposed to be copper. Talk about a mistake worth millions now. Don't get too excited and start running to your piggy bank just yet. This mistake didn't happen with every penny minted in 1982. In fact, it's quite rare, and that rarity is what makes it so valuable. In fact, there's only a handful of these special error pennies still out there, which is why they're worth so much. But wait, there's more to the story. For this penny to fetch anywhere near that $1.2 million value, it needs to be in mint condition. We're talking about a coin that looks like it's been in a time capsule for the last 40+ years. If your penny is scratched, dinged, or faded, don't get your hopes up too high. But if you do happen to have one in pristine condition, congrats. You might be holding a small fortune. Let me tell you a quick personal story to give you some perspective. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale. Shocking, right? I came across a big old jar of pennies, and just like any dedicated coin hunter, I started sorting through them. Most of them were typical worn-out coins. But then, I kid you not, I found a 1982 penny with a D Mint mark that looked a little different. I wasn't sure at first, but I set it aside because, hey, you never know with pennies. After some research and a few hours of Googling, I realized it could be one of these rare error coins. Long story short, I took it to an expert, and guess what? It wasn't worth $1 million, but it was definitely worth more than the 1 cent face value. Sometimes, a little research can turn your spare change into something more. So, to wrap it up, if you happen to find a 1982 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look, because it could be worth a whole lot more than you think. And remember, the key factors here are rarity, condition, and the unique error in the composition. It might take some time and effort to figure out if your penny is one of those million-dollar finds. But hey, what's a little effort when you're sitting on a potential fortune? Before you go rushing off to check your coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. I've got more coin tips, tricks, and strategies coming your way that can help you find some hidden treasures in your spare change. So, if you're ready to dive deeper into the world of coins that could be worth big bucks, don't miss out on what's next. So, you're casually strolling through your change jar one day, just trying to find enough pennies to buy a pack of gum, and then bam, you come across something that makes your heart skip a beat. A penny from 2013, with no mint mark. Wait, what? Yep, you heard that right. A 2013 penny, no mint mark, and it's worth, drumroll, please, over $1 million. A penny worth $1 million? That sounds like something you'd hear in one of those cheesy late-night infomercials. But trust me, this is the real deal. Stick around, because I'm about to break down why this little penny is a game changer for collectors and how you can spot one in your own pocket change. So, let's take a moment to appreciate the humble penny. It's been a part of our daily lives since 1909, and most of us don't give it a second thought. They roll around in our couches, we toss them in jars, or if you're like me, they just get thrown into the nearest wishing well when you're feeling extra generous. There's a particular penny from 2013 that is anything but ordinary. Most pennies from that year have a mint mark, which is that little D or S on the front of the coin. The D means it was made in Denver, and the S means it came from San Francisco. But for some reason, a handful of 2013 pennies were struck without any mint mark at all. This tiny mistake has caused a massive stir in the world of coin collectors. So, why does a 2013 penny with no mint mark hold such value? Well, it's all about rarity and the mystery surrounding its production. You see, pennies without a mint mark were never supposed to exist. It was a big mistake by the US Mint, and it turns out a rare mistake is a collector's dream. Let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, I found a coin in my change, and at first glance, it looked like just another typical penny. I put it in my jar, not thinking much of it. But then, a friend of mine who's a serious coin collector stopped by and casually mentioned, "Hey, check the mint mark on that 2013 penny." I rolled my eyes, thinking it was just a friendly suggestion to check my spare change for a treasure. But when I checked it, lo and behold, there it was, no mint mark. I almost passed out. Imagine finding a penny that could be worth over $1 million. I didn't sell it, though. I was too scared to let go of something so rare. And yes, I learned my lesson about checking my change a lot more carefully. So, let's talk about the current market value of these 2013 no mint mark pennies. As of today, some of these coins have sold for up to $1.3 million. That's right. It's the kind of money that could make you question every penny you've ever tossed away. Some collectors are paying big bucks for these because they're so rare, and the US Mint never intended to make them. With such a limited number in circulation, the value skyrocketed. Think of it as finding a rare Pokemon card in a pack of cereal. You just never know when luck's going to strike. Now, how do you spot one? It's not exactly the easiest thing in the world, but it's not impossible either. The 2013 no mint mark penny isn't different from its counterparts in terms of appearance. There's no special design or feature, just the lack of a mint mark on the obverse side of the coin. It may be a little hard to see at first, so get up close, use a magnifying glass or a smartphone camera, and look for the missing mint mark. And hey, don't forget to check your change. It's also important to note that not every 2013 penny without a mint mark is worth $1 million. The coin's condition, rarity, and the specific story behind its minting will influence its value. So, just because you found one in your change doesn't automatically mean you're about to retire early. But don't lose hope, there are still plenty of rare finds out there. Okay, so now that you're fully informed and probably rushing to check all your loose change, don't blame you, I would too. I want to leave you with one final thought. Coin collecting isn't just about the big money finds. It's about learning, discovering, and having fun with your collection. Who knows what you'll stumble upon in that old jar of coins? Maybe it'll be a penny worth a fortune. Or maybe it'll just be another 1999 penny that'll make you question why we still make them. Either way, keep digging, because you never know when your next great find will come. And if you want more tips on coins that could be worth a ton of cash, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and turn on notifications. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on more coin secrets and treasure hunting adventures. Thanks for watching and happy hunting, everyone. You might just have $1 million penny lying around without even knowing it. Now, I've got a little secret for you today that might just make you rethink how you've been looking at your spare change. You're walking around, hands full of loose change, maybe a penny here, a penny there. But what if I told you that one of those pennies could be worth, drumroll, $1.4 million? Yes, you heard me right. No, I'm not joking, and I'm not talking about some rare golden coin hidden in a treasure chest. I'm talking about a 1991 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just check your pocket and think, wait, what if I have one of those? Alright, let's get into it. Now, when you think of the penny, I'm sure the last thing on your mind is, this could be worth a small fortune. Most of us treat pennies like they're just, well, pennies. But what if I told you there's a 1991 D Mint Mark penny out there that could be worth an absolute ton of money? I mean, $1.4 million. That's a lot of zeros, my friends. Let me break it down for you. First, let's talk about what makes this penny so special. The 1991 D penny is a regular coin that was minted in Denver, but here's the kicker. There's a very specific one with a major mistake that turns it into a goldmine for collectors. This penny has a rare error, where the design didn't fully strike the coin during the minting process. It's a pretty big deal in the world of coin collectors. A little flaw, a little mistake, and boom, the value skyrockets. You might be thinking, how do I even spot one of these rarities? That's a great question. It's not like you'll find this error just by casually glancing at your change. The key is in the minting error. On a normal penny, the image of Abraham Lincoln is crisp and well-defined. But on this special one, Lincoln's face might look a little blurry or faint. And if that's not enough, sometimes the lettering is off-center or faded. It's the imperfections that make it so valuable. Coin collectors go wild for stuff like this. Now, let's get to the million-dollar question, pun intended. How much is this penny worth? Well, in the right condition, and if it's got that error, we're talking about a coin worth around $1.4 million. I know, it's mind-blowing. One coin, sitting around in someone's collection, sitting around in their change jar, could be worth more than most people make in a lifetime. It's pretty insane when you think about it. I've got to tell you a quick story from my own coin hunting days. A few years ago, I was doing some casual cleaning, organizing my old coins. I wasn't expecting much, just some basic finds. Then, out of nowhere, I stumbled across a penny that was just a little off. At first, I thought I had made a mistake, but after a little research, I found out that it was a rare mint error. I thought I hit the jackpot. Sadly, it wasn't a $1.4 million penny, but it was worth a decent amount. The excitement of that discovery, though? Totally real. It just goes to show that you never know what you might find in your pocket change, so how do you make sure you don't miss out on this golden opportunity? First, you need to check the mint mark on your penny. If it's a 1991D, pay close attention to the details. The imperfections are subtle, but they're worth the search. If you find one, you might want to take it to a coin expert or get it appraised. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on a potential windfall. All right, folks, now you're all set to go on your own coin hunt. Who knows, you might just have a rare 1991D penny hiding in that jar you've got tucked away. And remember, it's not just about finding rare coins. It's about having fun while you do it. Coin collecting is all about learning, exploring, and uncovering hidden treasures. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new today, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I've got more tips, tricks, and coin strategies coming your way, and you won't want to miss a single one. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever gone through a pile of old change only to find something so rare, so special, that it made your heart skip a beat? Well, buckle up, because today I've got a story for you that might just make you look at your pocket change in a whole new way. I'm talking about the 1977 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Yes, you heard that right. This little penny could be worth up to $1.5 million. And I can practically hear you saying, wait, a penny? Worth $1 million? Believe me, it's not as crazy as it sounds, and today, I'm going to explain why. First off, let's talk about the basics. The 1977 penny is just like any other penny you might find in your spare change, right? Except for one tiny thing, the lack of a mint mark. You see, most of the pennies produced by the US Mint have a little letter on them to show where they were made, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or no mark at all, which usually means it was minted in Philadelphia. But in 1977, something went awry. Some pennies came out of the mint without any mint mark, which was a rare mistake that caused some of them to be worth an insane amount of money today. But why, you ask, are these error pennies worth so much? Well, it all comes down to rarity and demand. In the coin world, the rarer, the better. And these mintless pennies are so rare that they've turned into a collector's dream come true. Some savvy buyers are willing to pay huge amounts for just one penny because they know how valuable it is and how difficult it is to find. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, cool, but how do I know if I have one of these rare pennies? Well, I've got you covered. First of all, you'll want to look closely at the date. If it's 1977 and there's no mint mark, then you might just be holding a jackpot. But here's the catch. Just because it's missing a mint mark doesn't automatically mean it's worth millions. The real money comes into play when the penny is in excellent condition, known as uncirculated or proof-like. If the penny has been bouncing around in your change jar for years, it probably won't fetch that $1 million price. However, if you've got a pristine, uncirculated one, then we might be talking big bucks here. The top-graded specimens have been sold for over $1.5 million. Yes, million. Now, here's a fun little story. A while back, I went to a yard sale, as we all do when we're hunting for treasure, and there was this old shoebox filled with coins. Most of them were just your average, run-of-the-mill pennies. But one of them caught my eye. It was a 1977 penny, and I could have sworn it didn't have a mint mark. Now, I'm no expert, so I didn't immediately think I was looking at a $1 million coin, but I held on to it anyway. After doing a little research and sending it to a professional, turns out it was a real gem. Unfortunately, it wasn't in the best condition, so no $1 million payoff. But it definitely got me thinking about how lucky some collectors can get when they find these treasures. So, if you're lucky enough to stumble upon a 1977 penny with no mint mark in your spare change, remember, you could be holding on to a potential gold mine. Just don't get too excited if it's been through the ringer. And even if it's not worth millions, it could still be a valuable piece of history. This is just one example of the many hidden treasures out there in your pockets, jars, and drawers. Coins can hold way more value than we often realize, and who knows, you might just find the next big one. So, if you want more tips, tricks, and stories about coins worth money, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that bell so you'll be the first to know when I drop new content about rare coins and the strategies you can use to find your own fortune. Who knows, maybe that next coin you find could be worth more than you ever imagined. As collectors, you're digging through an old jar of pennies, and one little coin could buy you a mansion, a sports car, or even a private island. Sounds like a fairy tale, right? Well, grab a cup of coffee and get comfy because today, we're diving into the fascinating story of the 2006 D. Abraham Lincoln penny, a humble little coin with a whopping market value of up to $1 million. Yeah, you heard me right. Let's find out why this penny is worth more than its weight in gold and how you could be holding a jackpot in your spare change. What makes the 2006 D penny so special? First off, let's talk about the D mint mark. That D stands for the Denver Mint, where this coin was made. Now, here's the kicker. Most 2006 D pennies are just your average pocket change. But every so often, a rare error slips through the cracks, and that's where things get interesting. There's a specific error on some of these pennies that makes them worth a fortune. It's called a double die error, where parts of the design, like Lincoln's profile or the date, appear slightly doubled. It's like Lincoln had a rough night and now he's seeing double. These mistakes are super rare, and collectors go absolutely bananas over them. How much is it really worth? So, why the $1 million price tag? Simple: supply and demand. Coin collectors love rare errors, and when a coin is both scarce and unique, the value skyrockets. A flawless, error-stricken 2006 D penny in mint condition recently sold at auction for, you guessed it, a cool $1 million. That's like trading a penny for a Ferrari. Not too shabby, right? How to spot a $1 million penny in your pocket? Okay, now for the fun part. How can you find one? First, grab a magnifying glass or your phone's zoom camera and inspect every single 2006 D penny you come across. Pay close attention to the date, Lincoln's face, and even the letters Liberty or United States. If you notice any doubling or funky details, you might have just hit the jackpot. Oh, and pro tip, check the edges too. Sometimes errors hide in plain sight. A personal penny story. Let me tell you about the time I found what I thought was my golden ticket. I was cleaning out my junk drawer, the one where random batteries, paper clips, and ancient takeout menus go to die, and I stumbled upon a 2006 D penny. My heart skipped a beat. I squinted at it under my desk lamp, imagining myself on a beach sipping piña coladas. Turns out, it was just a regular penny with some ketchup on it. Yep, back to reality. But hey, it gave me a good laugh, and now I always check my coins. Who knows? Lightning might strike twice. So, what's the takeaway? That little copper coin in your couch cushions could be worth a fortune, if you're lucky. The 2006 D. Abraham Lincoln penny is proof that sometimes the smallest things in life hold the biggest surprises. If you've got a penny jar, now's the time to rate it. And if you find one of these treasures, don't forget to thank me when you're chilling on your yacht. Before you go, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more tips, tricks, and stories about coins worth big money. Let's uncover those hidden gems together. And hey, leave a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin, or if you've got a junk drawer story like mine. We're diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting with a story that will make you check every penny you've ever touched. Here's the deal. A seemingly ordinary 1994 Lincoln penny with no mint mark has made headlines with a staggering value of $1.1 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single cent is worth over $1 million. I don't know about you, but I'm about to raid every couch cushion and swear off Coinstar machines forever. Stick around, because I'm breaking down everything you need to know about this little copper celebrity and how you might spot one for yourself. So, what's the big deal with the 1994 no mint mark Lincoln penny? First, let's talk about mint marks. If you've ever examined a coin, you'll notice tiny letters like P, D, or S near the date. These tell you where the coin was minted: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But if a coin has no mint mark at all, that's when things get interesting. The 1994 Lincoln penny should have been minted in Philadelphia, meaning it should have the P mint mark. However, a few slipped through the cracks without any mint mark. These are incredibly rare. So rare, in fact, that coin experts believe only a handful exist. This kind of error makes collectors go absolutely wild, driving up the value like it's a bidding war for the last slice of pizza at a family gathering. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but how does a penny go from being worth 1 cent to over $1 million? Excellent question. Coin values are determined by rarity, condition, and demand. There's only a few of these known to exist. Condition. The one sold for $1.1 million was graded as mint state, meaning it was in pristine, uncirculated condition. Coin collectors are always chasing the rarest finds, and when one comes along that's almost mythical in status, they're willing to empty their wallets or their life savings. Let me pause here and tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was convinced I'd struck gold, or copper, I guess. I found a penny with no mint mark and nearly had a heart attack. I started imagining my life as a millionaire: beachfront property, early retirement, maybe even splurging on avocado toast without guilt. But after a closer look and a quick consultation with an expert, it turned out my penny was just a regular Philadelphia mint coin. No $1 million payday for me. Moral of the story: always double check. So, how can you tell if you've got one of these 1994 no mint mark treasures? Look for a 1994 penny. If there's no P under the date, you might be onto something. The better the condition, the higher the value. If it's been rolling around in a parking lot for 30 years, it's probably not worth much. Take it to a professional coin dealer or grading service. They'll confirm whether you've got a rare penny or just pocket change. But let's be real, most of us won't stumble upon a $1 million penny. And that's okay. Even finding a coin worth $50 or $100 can be exciting. Plus, hunting for these hidden treasures is a fun and affordable hobby. So, there you have it. The story of the 1994 no mint mark Lincoln penny and how it went from being a humble cent to a millionaire's dream. Who would have thought something so small could hold such incredible value? If this has inspired you to start checking your spare change or take up coin collecting, you're in good company. And hey, even if you don't find a $1 million penny, you might stumble upon something valuable. Or at the very least, enjoy the thrill of the hunt. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing community of coin enthusiasts. I'll be sharing more tips, tricks, and stories about coins worth money, strategies for spotting rare finds, and ways to turn your spare change into a small fortune. Don't miss out. You never know which penny could change your life. Hi there, fellow coin enthusiasts, or maybe you just stumbled in here wondering why a penny could be worth more than a luxury car. Either way, you're in the right place. Let's talk about the 1966 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny that's making waves in the coin collecting world. Yes, you heard me right. A humble penny is now valued at a jaw-dropping $1.2 million. 1 minute you're tossing pennies into a tip jar, and the next, you're digging through your spare change like it's buried treasure. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be rushing to check your couch cushions. But before we dive into the juicy details, Hit that subscribe button so you never miss tips on spotting coins that could make you a millionaire. Now, let's get to the good stuff. What's the deal with the 1966 no mint mark penny? Alright, let's break it down. The 1966 penny without a mint mark looks like any other regular old penny. No shiny gold plating, no holographic design. It's not even double-sided or anything crazy like that. Just good old Abraham Lincoln staring into the distance. But here's where it gets interesting. Coins without mint marks usually come from the Philadelphia Mint. However, in 1966, the U.S. Mint did something sneaky. They intentionally left off mint marks across all mints to discourage collectors from hoarding coins. Little did they know, they'd accidentally create one of the most sought-after coins in history. The 1966 penny without the mint mark wasn't special back then. But today, collectors are going wild over these coins, especially when they're in mint condition or show unique errors. Now, here's the million-dollar question, or should I say, $1.2 million. The answer lies in rarity and condition. A specific 1966 penny, graded MS-67, mint state 67, sold at auction for $1.2 million because of its flawless condition and historical significance. How many pennies from 1966 could survive decades without scratches, dents, or mysterious sticky substances? Practically none. That's why this coin is like the unicorn of pennies. My coin hunting adventure. Okay, story time. A few years ago, I got this crazy idea to rummage through my old coin jar. I mean, why not? I'd been reading stories about people finding rare coins in their change and making a fortune. So there I was, at my kitchen table, sorting through pennies, nickels, and quarters like I was a pirate on a treasure hunt. Did I find a 1966 no mint mark penny? Nope. But I did find a quarter from 1976 that I swore looked different. It wasn't worth anything, but hey, I had fun dreaming for a hot second. The moral of the story? Even if you don't strike it rich, coin hunting is oddly satisfying. It's like scratching a lottery ticket, but you're not losing any money. If you have a 1966 penny, look for the following. No mint mark, that's step 1. Condition. The shinier and less worn, the better. Errors, look for misprints, double strikes, or anything unusual. If you think you've struck gold or copper, in this case, get your coin graded by a professional. Grading is what turns a neat old penny into a verified collectible worth thousands or even millions. All right, my friends, that's the scoop on the 1966 no mint mark Lincoln penny. Who knew a tiny copper coin could be worth more than a house? If you've got a pile of pennies lying around, it might be time to channel your inner treasure hunter. Smash that like button and subscribe for more tips on spotting hidden treasures in your pocket change. I'll share more stories, strategies, and maybe even a few laughs to keep things interesting. Now, go check your coins. You could be sitting on a fortune and not even know it. Did you know you might be sitting on a penny worth $1.3 million? Yep, you heard that right, a single penny. And no, it's not made of gold, nor does it have magical powers. We're talking about the 1988 D. Lincoln penny. Today, I'm going to break down why this little copper gem is worth a fortune, how to spot it in your pocket change, and how you can join the hunt. So grab your magnifying glass and your jar of coins, and let's dive in. All right, first things first. What's so special about the 1988 D. Lincoln penny? This penny looks just like any other Lincoln cent at first glance. But as with all treasures, the devil's in the details. The key here is the mint mark. The D stands for the Denver Mint, where this coin was produced. But here's the kicker. This particular batch of pennies was struck using a reverse die mint for 1989 pennies. Think of it as a factory mix-up that resulted in one of the rarest error coins in U.S. history. Now, spotting this penny isn't as simple as flipping over a coin and yelling, "Eureka!" You'll need to closely examine the FG initials on the reverse, located to the right of the Lincoln Memorial. These initials, standing for Frank Gasparo, the coin's designer, have a distinct style on the 1989 reverse die. On the rare 1988 D penny, these initials are slightly closer to the memorial and shaped differently than usual. It's a tiny detail, but it's what makes this penny worth a jaw-dropping $1.3 million today. Here's where things get funny. When I first heard about this penny, I practically dumped my entire piggy bank onto the kitchen table. My spouse walked in, saw me squinting at pennies with a flashlight, and said, "Oh great, you've finally lost it." Fast forward 3 hours, and we found exactly 1988D pennies, but managed to make a huge mess. Moral of the story? Searching for these gems is as much about patience as it is about luck. But seriously, error coins like this are why coin collecting is so exciting. Imagine finding one of these in your change after grabbing a coffee or at the bottom of your couch cushions. It's like winning the lottery, only in slow motion. Now, you're probably wondering, how can I sell one if I find it? Great question. If you do stumble across this rare coin, don't just list it on eBay for $5. Take it to a reputable coin dealer or grading service like PCGS or NGC. Having your coin authenticated and graded can significantly boost its value. And remember, condition matters. A 1988D penny in pristine condition can fetch the full $1.3 million, while a worn one might still bring in a smaller fortune. So, is it worth rummaging through your coin jar? Absolutely. Even if you don't find this specific penny, there are countless other valuable coins out there. Plus, it's a fun way to turn spare change into big bucks. Who doesn't love a little extra cash, right? All right, folks, there you have it. The story of the 1988D Lincoln penny that could make you a millionaire. Whether you're an experienced collector or a total newbie, this is your sign to start hunting. And hey, even if you don't find this exact penny, who knows what treasures might be hiding in your pocket change? Before you head off to check your coins, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got tons of tips, tricks, and stories about coins worth money, and you don't want to miss out. Plus, if you've got a great coin story or find, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Happy hunting, and remember, the next time someone tells you a penny isn't worth much, you can tell them about the 1988D Lincoln penny. You're digging through your pocket change, just trying to pay for a coffee, and boom. You realize you've been carrying around a penny worth $1.4 million. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, for one lucky person, it's not just a dream. It's their reality, all thanks to the 1985 D. Lincoln penny. Today, we're diving deep into this rare coin, why it's worth so much, and how you can uncover hidden treasures in your own spare change. Stick around because this story might just change how you see every single penny you've ever ignored. Now, let's get to the juicy part. What makes the 1985 D. Lincoln penny so special? First, a quick refresher. The D mint mark tells us it was minted in Denver. Most pennies from this year are pretty standard, your average copper-plated zinc coins weighing about 2.5 grams. But here's where things get spicy. This particular 1985 D penny, the one that sold for $1.4 million, isn't just your average coin. It's a mint error. That's right. What many would have dismissed as a flawed coin turned out to be a jackpot. This penny has a double die error, meaning the design was struck twice, causing a slightly doubled image. The result? A beautiful, unique imperfection that collectors go absolutely wild for. Now, before you sprint to your coin jar, let me tell you why this penny fetched such a staggering price. Condition is everything. This coin was graded MS 68 by PCGS, one of the highest possible grades. To give you some perspective, if coins were athletes, this one would be the Usain Bolt of pennies. It's pristine, shiny, and as close to perfect as a coin from 1985 can get. But wait, there's more. This particular penny also became famous because of its auction. It wasn't just about the coin. It was about the story behind it. The collector who sold it had a knack for spotting hidden gems in everyday life, just like you could. And when it went to auction, two big-name collectors got into a bidding war, pushing the price sky high. Let me tell you about a time I thought I struck gold, or copper, in this case. I was at my grandma's house, helping her clean out a drawer that probably hadn't been touched since the 80s. You know the kind, dusty manuals for appliances that no longer exist, some keys to who knows what, and a pile of loose change. Being the coin nerd I am, I couldn't resist taking a closer look. There it was, a 1985 penny with a D mint mark. My heart skipped a beat. Could this be the one? I rushed home, cleaned it carefully, don't worry, I know how to do it without damaging the coin, and checked it under a magnifying glass. It wasn't the $1 million penny, but it did have a cool die crack, and I ended up selling it for $15. Not quite a life-changing amount, but hey, it bought me lunch. And the thrill of the hunt? Totally worth it. What's the takeaway here? Coins like the 1985 D. Lincoln penny show us that sometimes the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises. Sure, not every penny is going to make you a millionaire, but the potential is out there. All it takes is a little curiosity, a good eye, and maybe a bit of luck. Before you leave, here's your homework. Go check your piggy bank, couch cushions, or that random jar of change you've been ignoring. Who knows? You might just have a treasure waiting for you. And if you want more tips, stories, and strategies for spotting coins worth real money, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Let's uncover those hidden treasures together. We dig deep into the world of coin collecting and uncover treasures that might just be hiding in plain sight. Now, imagine this. You're at the grocery store, casually tossing some change on the counter, and bam, someone points out you just handed over a penny worth $1.5 million. Sounds crazy, right? Well, today, we're talking about the elusive 1979 D. Lincoln penny that's making waves in the coin world. Grab a comfy spot, because we're about to dive into why this penny is so valuable, how to spot one, and the million-dollar question. Could you have one of these in your change jar right now? Let's start with the basics. The 1979 D. Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, and at first glance, it's just another copper-clad coin featuring Honest Abe. But what sets this penny apart is a rare minting error. Now, don't roll your eyes at the word error. This isn't your average typo. This is the kind of mistake that makes collectors go bananas. The key here is in the details, specifically a double die error. In simpler terms, some of these pennies were struck twice, causing the design to appear slightly doubled. It's subtle, but if you look closely at the date or the Liberty text, you'll notice the doubling effect. That tiny flaw is what transforms a 1-cent piece into a $1.5 million jackpot. Now, I know what you're thinking. How the heck did this happen? Picture this. It's 1979. The mint is cranking out coins like there's no tomorrow, and somewhere along the line, a misaligned die created this anomaly. Back then, no one thought much of it. Fast forward to today, and collectors are losing their minds over these rare finds. So, how do you know if you've struck gold? Or in this case, copper? First, grab a magnifying glass. No magnifying glass? Borrow your kid's toy one. It works just as well. Look for doubling on the date, the word Liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust." If you spot it, congratulations, you might be sitting on a fortune. Let me tell you a quick story. A buddy of mine, we'll call him Joe, was cleaning out his car and found a penny wedged between the seats. It was grimy, gross, and he almost tossed it. But he remembered me rambling on about rare coins, so he decided to check it out. Turns out, it wasn't the famous 1979 D, but it was another valuable error coin. He sold it for $500. So yeah, moral of the story, never underestimate your spare change. All right, back to the 1979 D. If you think you've found one, the next step is verification. You'll need to send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate the coin and assign it a grade based on its condition. The higher the grade, the higher the value. And speaking of value, let's talk numbers. In pristine condition, this penny has sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $1.5 million. Even in less than perfect condition, these coins can fetch thousands of dollars. Imagine paying off debt or funding a dream vacation with a single penny. It's the ultimate underdog story. Now, a little word of caution: counterfeits exist. Some folks try to fake doubling by altering regular pennies. So, if you're in the market to buy one of these, always go through reputable dealers and make sure it's been certified. Trust me, you don't want to shell out big bucks for a dud. All right, friends, that's the lowdown on the 1979 D. Lincoln penny. Who knew something so small could pack such a big punch? If today's video has you itching to check your couch cushions, car seats, and piggy banks, you're not alone. And hey, if you do find one, don't forget who sent you on this treasure hunt. Before you go, let me ask you this. What would you do with $1.5 million from a single penny? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video or learned something new, hit that thumbs up button. It helps the channel more than you know. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into coins worth money. I've got more tips, tricks, and stories coming your way, and trust me, you won't want to miss them. Thanks for watching and happy coin hunting. You're digging through the spare change in your pocket and boom, you find a penny worth $1.6 million. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, what if I told you that a humble 1978 Lincoln penny without a mint mark could be your golden ticket? Or should I say, copper ticket? Stick around, because today, we're diving deep into the mystery and value of this rare coin. And trust me, you don't want to miss this. It might just make you a millionaire overnight. All right, let's break it down. First things first. What's so special about the 1978 Lincoln penny with no mint mark? Now, most coins have a tiny letter stamped on them, indicating where they were minted. D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and if there's nothing, that means it came from Philadelphia. Yep, Philly skipped the mint mark on their coins like your neighbor skips mowing the lawn. But here's the twist. Not every no mint mark 1978 penny is worth a fortune. So, what makes this one so valuable? It all comes down to rarity and condition. The specific 1978 Lincoln penny in question was found in pristine condition, graded MS 68 by professional coin graders. In the coin world, that's like winning best hair at a beauty pageant. It's that shiny, flawless finish that sets it apart. Oh, and did I mention it's made of 95% copper? Talk about heavy metal. Now, how did it sell for $1.6 million? Well, rare coins like this are a big deal to collectors. Think of it like Pokemon cards, but for grown-ups who still don't mind spending hours hunting down their Charizard. Auctions are where the magic happens. This specific penny sold to a private collector who clearly had deep pockets and a deep love for pennies. Okay, let me share a quick story. A few years back, I was cleaning out my junk drawer. You know, the one with old batteries, mismatched socks, and a coupon for free fries that expired in 2006. Anyway, I stumbled upon a pile of pennies. One caught my eye because it looked different. No mint mark, shiny as new, and I thought, this could be the jackpot. Long story short, it wasn't. But hey, I made a solid $3 at the coin shop. Moral of the story? You never know what you'll find unless you look. So, what's the takeaway here? The 1978 no mint mark Lincoln penny could be worth $1.6 million, or it could just be worth 1 cent. The key is checking your change, knowing what to look for, and maybe brushing up on coin grading. You never know what treasures might be hiding in plain sight. Now, if you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about hidden gems in your coin jar, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'll be back with more tips, strategies, and stories to help you turn spare change into serious cash. And hey, drop a comment below. What's the most valuable coin you've ever found? Let's compare treasure tales. You're digging through your spare change, maybe to grab a soda or toss into the laundry fund, and boom, you stumble upon a penny. Not just any penny, though. It's a 1970 D Lincoln penny, and guess what? That tiny piece of copper could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.7 million today. Yes, you heard that right. $1.7 million for a coin most of us would probably overlook. Stick with me for the next 25 minutes because we're diving deep into why this penny is so valuable, how to spot one, and a funny little story about how I once threw away what might have been a fortune. So, let's start with a bit of background. The 1970 D Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, hence the D mint mark. Now, not every 1970 D penny is worth millions. Most are only worth their face value, a single cent. But there's one incredibly rare variety that collectors would sell their soul, or at least their car, to own. The secret lies in a mistake. That's right, the most valuable things are often born out of flaws, kind of like my cooking. This penny has what's called a double die error. Essentially, the design on the coin was struck twice, but slightly off-center, creating a shadowy, almost 3D-like effect. This error is especially noticeable on the date 1970, and the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Only a handful of these pennies exist. It's like winning the coin collector's lottery if you find one. The last known sale of this rare beauty fetched a staggering $1.7 million. That's more than the cost of a luxury home or a lifetime supply of coffee. So, how do you know if you've got one of these golden, or rather, copper tickets? Grab a magnifying glass or a smartphone with a zoom function. First, look for that D mint mark under the year. Then, check the date and the letters closely for that doubled appearance. If you spot it, don't go screaming to your neighbor just yet. Get it verified by a professional coin appraiser. Here's where it gets painful for me. A few years ago, before I got into coin collecting, I was cleaning out an old desk drawer. I found a bunch of pennies and, thinking nothing of it, dumped them into a coin jar. Fast forward to last year when I started learning about valuable coins. I realized that one of those pennies might have been a 1970 D double die. I'll never know for sure because I rolled up that jar and took it straight to the bank. Can you imagine? I could have been sitting on $1 million coin and traded it for what? A couple of quarters and dimes. Lesson learned. Always check your change. Why is it worth so much? You might be wondering, why would anyone pay that much for a penny? Great question. It all boils down to rarity and demand. Coin collectors are like treasure hunters. They'll pay top dollar for unique finds to complete their collections. The 1970 D double die penny is one of the rarest errors out there, making it a hot commodity in the coin world. And let's not forget the bragging rights. Imagine pulling out a tiny coin at a party and casually mentioning, "Oh, yeah, this little guy? Worth more than your car. That's worth $1 million alone, right?" All right, folks, before you start raiding your piggy banks or offering to clean out grandma's purse, remember this: patience and persistence are key. Rare coins don't show up every day, but when they do, it can change your life. So, if you're as fascinated by these hidden treasures as I am, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and stories coming your way about coins worth money, how to spot them, and how to cash in big. And hey, if you've ever found, or think you've found, a valuable coin, drop your story in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Who knows, your story might inspire the next video. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Happy hunting, and may all your pennies be worth millions.